And as if by magic, the transfer window has closed for European clubs, meaning no more players can come into Manchester United until January at the very least. Some might still go because Turkey and Saudi are still open, but I very much doubt it. But this is at the very least the crop of players that Ruben Amorim has to work with in the Premier League until the January window. So I've gone on socials, as you do, and the discourse has been that some people are incredibly happy, some people are incredibly unhappy. There's no one really in the middle ground, and you can never expect that with Manchester United. So we are, as always, going to take quite an overlooking view of the entire window, and I'm going to tell you where I stand with it. So before we get into things, make sure you drop a like on the video if you're enjoying the content. We are going great guns, whether it's live streams or videos like this, to give you as much content throughout the course of the season, because I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. I hope you guys are enjoying it too, and make sure you subscribe because we are here to grow the healthiest and best and thriving Manchester United community in the world. So if you want to be part of that, all you got to do is like the video and subscribe, and make sure you get in the comments as well, because I see and respond to every single one. And I know for a particular with this one, people are going to have opinions. You're going to have opinions on it. You might think I'm right or wrong. Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to go chronologically, right, because it helps my brain. Diego Leon. I'm happy with that. I think that is the type of signing that I would always be making on Football Manager, and I would wonder why Manchester United wouldn't make them. But what it has shown is that we've known over the past 10 to 20 years that our recruitment's been poor, even though we have one of the most in-depth scouting and analysis departments in the world. Maybe not in the data side, but we have scouts all over the world. We just don't really use them. How often did you hear that we were in for a Julian Alvarez when he was at River Plate, or a Moises Caicedo when he was in Ecuador, but we just didn't pull the trigger for whatever reason? I think we can all agree, yes, they turned out to be brilliant players, both of them, but if we spent 15 million on both of them and they weren't quite as good as where they are now, they still represent a pretty tidy chunk of change, wouldn't it? So we should be doing these deals, and Diego Leon is not only a really nice prospect to have, but for a deal that was like $4 million, like £3.2 million, and then 3.7 in add-ons if he achieves them, you cannot go wrong with that type of investment. And he's 17 when he bought him, he's 18 now, so I think that this is the type of signing that we need to continue making, because if we're going to bulk out the squad with anybody, it shouldn't be with overpaid players with the egos to match. It should be with young, hungry players that want to prove themselves at a club like Manchester United. Frankly, because of the fee and because of everything, I'm giving that a 7 out of 10. I think it's a really nice one for Manchester United. Bryan Mbeumo was a bit of it was a saga, wasn't it? It did turn into a saga, and because of that, he arrived not match fit. I don't think he was very good in the first two games. In fact, I thought he was poor. I thought he looked as though he wasn't the right weight. He looked as though he definitely wasn't match sharp, that's for one thing. And I was a little disappointed with him when he first came in, but the Burnley game, I think that's his zenith point now. That is where he is going to strike on and keep on getting better, because that is a player who, he has that Premier League experience as well, but like with Cunha, he comes with something to prove. And I'm going to get onto that point a little bit more with the goalkeeper, but he comes with something to prove. And I love that, because the last thing you want, and we've had it so many times with United, is that when you get big egos, you get them with nothing to prove. Like, they've already done certain things. So it's like, what can we offer them? We can offer something to Cunha and Mbeumo, that you're at a club like Manchester United, for one, which we can offer to all players, but you can go on and achieve things that you've never achieved before, and things that your qualities deserve. So I think it was really good. I think the only thing that I would have liked is that if we got the deal done sooner, because then the fee would have probably come down along with it. I think Ineos might have waited a little bit too long, and Brentford probably wasted our time a little bit to try and get as much money as possible. So I want to be fair on Ineos as well. It's not just on them. And I'm nitpicking here because I still think it's an 8.5 out of 10 signing. I think it's really good. It's just we went a bit above what we wanted to pay, hence why it's not a 9, but still. Benjamin Sesko is... people feel quite indifferent about it, and so do I. I think it's a weird one in the sense of who we've sold in order to make way for him, but this is someone that's been profiled by the scouting team, by the analysis department, and they've wanted him for a long time. Vivol has obviously moved in from 2 different clubs, so you would expect that played a massive part in it. And with the strikers that were available this summer for the fees that they were talking about, I think the fee we paid was about fair for in terms of how much, potential he has and what he's already done in the Bundesliga, especially for a club that was starting to, waver a little bit. So I'm happy with the signing overall. I think it's a really shrewd appointment, and I think it's quite a lot of money for a big young striker at Manchester United, so he is going to struggle with that. From what I've seen, I mean, I've not seen anything. The jury is absolutely still out on him. And out of everyone that I've spoken about in terms of first team players, he's the first one I'm saying in this video where the jury is still out. So I'm going to give that signing a 6.5 out of 10 because, again, we could have done it earlier, maybe get the fee lower, but it's still a really good signing. It's still a really exciting signing because we needed a striker. And the three that I've looked at, look, our problem last season wasn't so much shipping goals. That was a problem, obviously, but it was scoring them. We only conceded 8 fewer goals than Aston Villa, and we finished like 7 places below them. So that goes to show how difficult it was that we couldn't put the ball in the back of the net and where that hamstrings us, because your defence can only get you a draw. Your attack is what gets you wins. So the fact that Ineos have addressed all of those problems and got us a striker and 2 attacking midfielders / winging profiles in one window is really good going from them. So overall, I give Sesko a 6.5 because we still need to see more, but I think it's a really interesting one. The goalkeeper. You know how much I wanted this goalkeeper. Now, I've done a whole full-length video on it. Please check it out if you haven't already. It released yesterday, and it's, you guys are enjoying it so far. So please get in the comments and like that video up as well. It's a full analysis breakdown on why I think Senny Lammers was the right choice. And the reason I say that, I'll just give you a little brief indicator of it now because I want you to go and watch it. But we were linked with Emi Martinez, right? And my problem with Emi Martinez was, one, it was going to cost more money than Lammers. In terms of wages for sure, but definitely in terms of the fee. And he comes with nothing to prove. Again, he's a World Cup winner. He's already played in the Champions League with Villa. Like, what more could you want? I don't think that we could get our act together to the point where we're winning titles with Emi Martinez. So I just didn't like that. I didn't like his antics at Old Trafford. I didn't like how his antics are in general. I don't think that's the type of goalkeeper that you want. I want calmness, I want shrewdness, and I want, more than anything, for Manchester United to use their data and analysis departments and their scouting department to go and ascertain the best value propositions in the transfer market. That's exactly what we've done with Senny Lammers. £18.7 million is a snip for any player, let alone a 23-year-old goalkeeper with enough left on his contract. But most importantly with this, I like the way that Ineos did it. So, in case you missed the deadline day saga or you're not even entirely sure where the timelines meet, we wanted Senny Lammers first. Antwerp took long and it was just annoying. But what I liked about it is that instead of what an old regime would do, where they would probably pay over the odds for Martinez and ignore Lammers because they didn't want to deal with it, they bided their time, they waited, and they still, at the end of the window, got the deal they wanted. We didn't overpay for Lammers, not by a penny. We didn't overpay for anything to do with that deal. And we actually flirted with the idea of getting Martinez by agreeing personal terms, probably to get Antwerp to stump it up quicker. Instead of saying, we're just going to wait for you, we had to make them come to us. It fits Ineos's model. So we didn't deviate from it at all in this transfer window, which I'm really, really happy with. Lammers himself, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. And the best signing for me is the one that we got done earliest in the window, which is Matheus Cunha. I still maintain that this is the most important signing that we made this summer, and I'm just glad we got him in early, because from the moment he came in, you look at certain players and you just think, you look like a Manchester United player. Matheus Cunha absolutely fits that bill. He's got the build for it. He's got the size. He's got the ego. He's got a bit of that mentality about him, but he's got the maverick mentality about him with the talent to back it up. This is someone who's one of the best attackers in the Premier League over the past 2 to 3 seasons, and we got him for 62.5 million. And I suspected when he signed a new contract with Wolves and they put in that release clause, we'd already kind of said that this is going to be our guy. And I'm just glad we got him in straight away. And you've seen it. How long have we been craving for someone to just, I don't know, grab the ball with their feet, grab the ball and just run towards the opposition? That's what we've wanted. But so many times we've looked scared, we look tentative and up in our possession. We don't know where we're going, don't know what we're doing. But Matheus Cunha knows what he's doing all the time. The only thing I've been a bit concerned about is, well, not concerned, is that he hasn't hit the back of the net yet, and he's had enough chances to do that. Goals will come. We've seen that already. Goals are going to come. So that's a signing that I'm not worried about in the slightest. And you always think, you get a Premier League proven player, you want him to translate that to your club. Can he translate it to your club? He already has. He's been one of our standout performers. Very happy with him. And it seems like with his injury that he picked up against Burnley, that, he walked freely after the game. He's not going to Brazil with the internationals, I think, just to fully recuperate. But I think he seemed more annoyed that he couldn't continue with the game rather than it being a terrible injury. And that's also a nice mindset to have as well. So I'm very happy with that deal. That, for me, is a 9 out of 10 signing. What does it have to be for 10 out of 10? If it was 50 million, I'm brown. I like to save money. We have to. It would be remiss of me to talk about the sales without as much gusto as I'm talking about some of the arrivals, because that was always going to be the stickling point. That was always going to be the reason whether we had a good window or not. And the fact, if I was to say to you that we would end this transfer window without having to deal with Sancho, Antony, Rashford, or Garnacho, I think you would snap my hand off. And let's go into each of those deals. Rashford was the first one to get done, and I think overall, just to get his wages off the books, 350k a week that boy was on. Do you know how badly that hamstrings us going forward? And that's going to be a key figure of some of the other players I'll talk to. But last season, when we could only get Dorgu and Heaven in the January transfer window, now I actually think getting those wages off the books and saving cumulatively across all 4 of those players about £41.7 million throughout the course of a season. That's the savings that we're going to make, which is absolutely absurd. But that allows us to plan not only for January, but for the summer as well, because we've also got obligation fees in there. Because if Rashford does well, I think the obligation fee is like £30 odd million, which isn't ideal, but in the circumstances, he didn't do brilliantly at Villa. He did okay. Did he bench Watkins? No, he didn't. Watkins came on and still had more of an impact than he did. Look at the stats and all the games that he played, and Watkins was usually there. So I'm not going to go into this narrative. I think it's nonsense. But I'm glad he's gone to Barca. I think that's a good place for him. And if his value goes up, then they take him. Fine. But if they don't take him, because we know how they're at with their registration problems and all that, someone else could take him. So I still think it's a really good sale for Manchester United. I think it's a good move for Marcus, which I'm happy with as well, because he's still a Manchester United boy and I like him. So all good all round. Rasmus Højlund is probably the only one that I'm upset about, because I just think he's a good guy, and I think I would have preferred the option of having him in the squad when he's only on like 80-90 grand a week, over selling him with a loan fee and with like an obligation if they reach the Champions League, because I think he's going to smash it in Napoli. If Scott McTominay can look like Maradona, Højlund is going to look incredible in Serie A. He already did. He already looked really good at Atalanta. That's why we bought him. So I think he's going to do brilliantly. And we've got money in straight away for Alejandro Garnacho and for Antony. A Garnacho 40 million isn't a lot. We wanted more than that. But considering all the things that had happened and that it's come out now that he'd agreed personal terms with Chelsea in January and we couldn't agree a fee. And then he said he wanted to join Chelsea before the Europa League final. And then he comes out mouthing off about it afterwards. He's gone to Chelsea and he's said, moving to a bigger club and that he's happy there. And that he put out an announcement, like a thank you video to the fans, which looked totally AI generated. I'm just glad he's gone. You deal with him now. Because I'm really upset with Alejandro Garnacho. I've made a video on it. I'm upset with him because I expected a lot more from him. But he has gone to prove that he doesn't care about us, the fans, the club, so you can get out as well. 40 million quid, pure profit going into the coffers, good. Plus a little sell-on clause as well, because Chelsea, frankly, it's good. Every single deal you do with Chelsea, insert a sell-on clause, because if he doesn't hit the ground running within 1 or 2 years, they'll sell him again. And they don't care. So Garnacho, enjoy London, because I think that's also a big reason for why he wanted to go. Allow your brother/agent to keep doing his leaks and betting on you and all these different things that kind of came out. Everything to do with that family is out of the club. Good riddance to all of them. And I've kind of skipped over Antony. I mean, Antony was, he wanted to go to Betis the entire time. We got 25 million euros overall as a package with a 50% net sell-on clause, not just profit, but net, which again, I think is good. But if he leaves for a free agent, we don't get anything. But the thing with Antony, I remember there was a few days before where we'd agreed that exact same deal with Betis, and then Betis said, oh, we don't have the money for that, and Antony wanted a severance package. So you would just think, I just thought, God, if this was the old regime, they would pay the severance package and let him go. But we didn't. We waited until the final day of the window, and the first deal we did on deadline day was exactly what we wanted in the first place. We have not paid a single penny of severance to Antony, and he's gone to Betis. So, good. And Jadon Sancho, he's gone with 80% of his wages being paid, and he's gone with potentially some bonuses and a loan fee that could make it look like basically all of his wages are being covered. And that's brilliant because, again, he's gone to Aston Villa, which says a lot. I think like him and Marcus are pretty close, and Marcus has probably said, it's a good place to go and revive yourself a little bit. If he goes there and does well, fine. Because we haven't inserted like a real obligation for them to buy him. But if he does well, then maybe there's something we could do later down the line. But I think what is really interesting about that one is there's still a trigger in his contract that we could extend his contract for another season. So everyone would think, and I thought this at the time, I still kind of think it now, that it would be weird to trigger his contract and say, why would you want to do that and deal with him again? But if we do that and he has a good season, what it proves is that we're in control and he's not. And we could probably get some money for him as well. Even if it's 10 to 15 million pounds, it's still money at the end of the day. And overall, in the window, I think Ineos have proven that they want to be the ones in control. And it was all about, can we address some of the key areas of the pitch, and can we get this rot out of the club and also prove that Man United can't be messed with? They had to do all three of them in one window. I think they've done those three very, very well. The only stickler is that we did need a midfielder. I think letting Toby Collier go on loan, which I thought was a smart loan, it leaves us light in midfield, and we are going into January with Kobbie Mainoo, Ugarte, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes as our centre mid options. Have we got anyone that can come in and do something more? Maybe Sekou Kone, who had a fractured eye socket recently in an under-21s game. So I'm a bit annoyed about that. I think we could have done better, but then you think Lisandro Martinez is coming back. He's not going to play in midfield, but you have a back three that can now step up and actually help the midfield. So overall, I can see why we weren't going to make any panic signings and we were going to wait until January. And like I say, the sales have probably allowed us to do some good work in January if we need it, and definitely some good work in the summer because we will need it then. So overall, I think the incomings in the club, I'm going to rate that at about a 7.5 out of 10. And I'm going to rate the outgoings at an 8 out of 10 because we've got them gone. I don't think there are many operators, except maybe Chelsea, because they're just crazy at selling players, but I don't like how they're being run, frankly. But the fact that we've been able to sell all these players, get them out of the club, and give Ruben Amorim a good footing this season. Yes, he needed that midfielder. I think that will come back to bite us a little bit. But to get the goalkeeper, get the striker, get the attackers in one window after finishing 15th, do you know what I mean? Like, you're still backing a manager that finished 15th and didn't get European silverware and bottled the final, in my opinion. So I think fair play to Ineos. They've done well. Yes, we could have gotten a little bit more. But overall, I'm going to give this window between a 7.5 and 8 out of 10, a 7.75. I think fans saying that they're upset, saying that they're angry, I think is nonsense. I think look at the context of where we were, what we had to do, and Ineos have done the majority of what needed to be done. There is a gap. They have made a gap, and I'm annoyed that that wasn't a priority. But I feel like if we'd addressed that gap but didn't get a striker, or addressed that gap and didn't get a goalkeeper, people would still be saying the same thing. So they didn't get everything done, but they got a lot done, and I'm happy with that. And it just, I don't know about you, but it feels a lot lighter thinking we go through the window without having to go through the season without having to worry about what's Anthony getting up to, or Garnacho, or Rashford or Sancho. And Malacia, I mean, he's the only one that hasn't gone. But like I say, Turkey is still open and Saudi. So we'll see what happens with him. But overall, I think it's a positive window and a step in the right direction. That's the number one thing. But what did you think about the window? Let me know in the comments below what you think about my analysis. If you think I'm full of crap or you think you agree with me, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for the support on the channel. Like I say, there's a huge giveaway plan for when we hit 10k subscribers. So like the video, subscribe if you are new, and let's be part of building this into the best and most thriving and healthy community of Manchester United fans in the world. And I will see you in the next video.